Hello, in last video we talked about how to work with saved searches in Splunk Dashboard Studio, right? Now in this particular video we will talk about the fourth data source called ds.test, which is a very basic data source which will allow you to create some data on the fly, which we will see today. So if we just recap what we have done before, so if I just go back to the source code of the dashboard we were working on, so we saw how to work with base searches, like how to create a search with ad hoc search basically with ds.search. We saw how to create chain searches as well. We saw how to work with ds.save searches as well. Now today we will see how to work with ds.test today. Okay, now before we start, I just wanted to call out because I was seeing a lot of comments regarding like the video sequencing and all. So that's why I was thinking, like, for now onwards, for each and every video I will just call out which playlist this particular video will belongs to, because as I am working on a lot of multiple playlists together, I think it will be easier to track as well. Also, for each and every playlist I am working on to make it as better sequence. Although the current sequence looks good, but I think there are certain contents which I am yet to create for those playlists. Maybe I will fill those gaps as well. Okay, so this particular video will be part of this particular playlist, Splunk 11. Okay, the Splunk Dashboard Studio playlist. So hopefully in future also I will not be changing the name of this playlist, and as well as at the end of the video you will get a card where you can get this particular playlist link as well over here, or you can always come back to this playlist tab in this particular channel and check corresponding playlists over here. Okay, because I will be mainly working on this Dashboard Studio, Phantom, this deep learning playlist, as well as other Splunk playlist as well simultaneously. So I think it would be good if I just call out the playlist name for those corresponding videos. Okay, so without much discussion on this part, let's start about the new data source we are talking about. Okay, so ds.test is actually allow you to create some data on the fly. Now it could be some test data as well you want to create and try to see what's going on, try to experiment with that one, or if you want to create some kind of static values in your dashboard as well, you can do this on as well. Okay, now this ds.test you cannot do it from the UI. So as if I just go back to this dashboard and go to this data source or data overview option over here, only the ad hoc search, the save search, even save search also we have created from the backend from the JSON code. So only the ad hoc search, basically the base search, and the chain searches we can create it from the UI. Rest of the searches we have to create it from the backend. Okay, so like other searches we will go to the data sources, this particular key. Correct. So currently we have these searches like this particular save search and other base search and chain searches available. So let us try to create another test search. Okay, so I will copy this guy over here because the syntax wise it is little bit similar. So I just copied the base search code. Now let's name it as, let's say, mock data. Okay, so ds, as I already told in the previous video when we talked about the save searches, so the save search basically in each and every data source unique ID has to start with ds underscore. Okay, otherwise it will be giving, Splunk will be giving error over here. Now for the type for this particular ds.test, the type will be ds.test over here. Now options, it will not be a query because we will be creating those values on the fly. So I will delete this one for now. Okay, we will come back to this option later. And in the name, let's give it a meaningful name. Let's say mock data. Okay, now in the option, just like other searches for save search, so basically for the base search or ad hoc searches, in the option we used to have a query, correct? In the chain search as well, in options we have these two things, extend and query, where extend is the base search name which we are extending, and the query is actually the post process search string over here, correct? And in the case of save searches, we have different options like the reference keyword, which will basically tell you which save search we are going to refer, the app context, and the refresh settings over here. Now for the mock data, we are basically going to create fields and columns values, okay, on the fly. So the first key is the data key over here. So we will be creating a key called data, and okay, as it is a JSON, it will be as a JSON structure within the curly bracket. We will be creating two stuff over here. One key is field, okay, fields basically, and both of this key will be as a JSON array structure, okay. Now the second key will be columns over here, okay, columns. So as I said, both of this key will be JSON array structure. In the fields, we are going to mention the column names. So basically, let's say we want to create a small table on the fly. So the table will be having the column names and the data values, correct, for each and every column. So that is what we are going to create over here, okay. So let's create two column names over here. One is called movie ID and another is called the genre name, okay. Now the column names we are going to create inside this fields key, and the column values we are going to create inside this columns key over here. Now the syntax is a little bit different when we will be creating the column names and values. So let us see. The column names will be, each and every column names will be a simple dictionary. So if I just say, because it's an array, right, so and we are going to create multiple columns over here, so it is basically a array of dictionaries over here, okay. So as we are going to create two columns, so that's why I have created two dictionaries over here, empty dictionaries over here. Then inside the dictionary, the key name is name of the column, okay. The key name is name, and over here we are going to give the column name. Let's say movie ID, okay. And the second column, I will just copy the same dictionary structure over here. Again, the key name will be name, okay, because we are going to create a separate column over here, and then I will create genre name over here, okay. So this is the two columns we have created. Now in the columns value, let us try to create their values over here. So this is basically a list of lists over here. That means it will be something like this one, okay. So as we have two columns, let us try to create two values over here. The first value, we will just pass the value name over here inside this particular key, okay. So let's say 1 2 3 4 5, that's my movie ID. Now inside the name, let us try to create a first genre called thriller, okay. So this will become our genre name. So it will basically, so what we have created over here is we have created a simple table with two fields, movie ID and the genre name, and their corresponding values 1 2 3 4 5 and thriller over here, okay. So let us try to see first how this looks like, okay. Then maybe we will experiment with this one. So I'll go back, I will first save the code. Now let us try to create a small table over here, okay. Anyway, I can remove this table as well, okay. Let it keep this one. When we will be talking about visualization mode, then I will be basically decluttering this particular dashboard again, but for now it is fine. We will just create a simple table so that we can basically refer that particular test data set we just created. So I'll just keep this table over here. Now in the search, I will just cancel it. If you see, it is asking me for the search, I'll just cancel it. I will, if you see, like even from the data configuration screen also, I cannot do this one because that particular search I have defined it inside my code, right? So for this particular visualizations to refer that particular search we created, the test search we created, we will do it from the JSON code itself, okay, because there is no way I can select it from here. So that's why I will go to code over here. Now if you see for other tables, so if I just go to the layout structure, so not the layout, I think the visualization. So this is my Splunk table, correct? And this Splunk table is actually using this primary data source, that particular safe search data source, right? So for our table also we will try to do the same, because this is the table we just created over here, that small table, correct? So I will just copy this guy over here, this data source options over here, and I will paste it over here. Okay, now in the data sources, okay, over here I need to give a comma because I have added another key over here. Now in the data sources, the primary data source will be the ID of the data source we just created. So I am just giving the ds.test type data source ID over here. So ds mock data. Okay, so let us try to see if it is displaying something. Yes, it is displaying something over here, some static values we created inside our dashboard using this ds.test, and we are able to display it over here. Now the question is, how can I create multiple rows over here? Okay, let us go to this particular source code and try to reason through it. So over here, if you see, like Splunk already automatically formatted this guy over here. So over here we created this field. So if you just want to create a new field, you just add a new name to this name dictionary over here, this particular part over here, to this particular array over here. Now this fields key and the columns key you can create in any sequence. Okay, that does not matter, but only thing you need to keep in mind that the number of fields you have, the number of columns you'll be creating, the number of values you'll be giving it over here, that needs to be same, as well as the sequence as well. That means the first value will automatically go to this movie ID. The second value will automatically go to this genre name field over here. Okay, now if I just want to create multiple values, multiple rows over here, what I will do is, because this columns, each and every column value is also a array over here, if you see it, correct? So I will be just adding a new value over here, let's say 2 3 4 5 6. So this will create a new row for this guy, and let's say the genre name is anything, let's say drama over here. Okay, so that means this guy 2 3 4 5 6 and drama, it will basically create the second row of this particular table. So if I just go back, and if you see it over here, this is how it will be working, because this is an array, right? This movie ID, the value is an array. So whatever elements you'll be giving it over here, it will be automatically placing that in a row wise manner over here. Same for the genre name as well. Okay, so this is the basic concept about the ds.test dataset, using which you can create some static data on the fly. It could be useful for multiple scenarios, like if you want to display some static information or do some kind of experiment in your dashboard with some test data, you can use this particular dataset over here. Okay, so in the next video we'll talk more fun stuff about the Splunk Dashboard Studio. So hopefully this video is helpful. See you in the next video.